Welcome. So in this example, we're going to look at adding together non-equivalent fractions. And the example we're going to take is 3 over 6. And we're going to add 2 over 4. Now, when we add fractions, what we need to look at is our denominators. And here we've got sixths, and on the other side we've got quarters. So they're not in the same fraction family, they're different families. So we've got to find a family where both fractions are able to change into comfortably. So in order to do that, we look at the multiples of those numbers. So the multiples of the denominators. Remember, D for denominator, D for down. So we'll first of all take a look at sixths, and we'll quickly run through the multiples of 6, and after that we'll run through multiples of 4. And what we're looking for is the lowest number where both denominators can be multiples of. So looking at sixes, we start with 6, then our next is 12, then we go 18, then we have 24, and 30. And I'm just going to take those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 multiples as a brief example. Then we look at the quarters and see what number the number 4 will multiply into. So we start with 4, then we have 8, 12, then 16, then 20, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've gone 5 steps in both multiples. Now what we're looking for is the lowest number that both numbers are multiples of. So we look at 6, 12, 18, 24, and 30. And look at our 4s. We have 4, 8, 12, 16, and 20. So our lowest common multiple in both examples then is 12. And we have 12 for 6s, and then we have 12s for the quarters. So we know then that we'll be able to change our sixths and our quarters into twelfths. So we're going to do that up here on the right hand side of the page, and in order to do that we need to look at the denominator and see how many multiples of the denominator are equal to 12. So because we've written it out underneath here, we can look at 6, and we know that that's the first step. So 1 multiplied by 6 is 6, and then 2 multiplied by 6 is 12. So if there are 2 6s in 12, we're then going to multiply the numerator, the number on top, by 2. And the reason we do that is because there are 2 6s in the number 12, which is the lowest common multiple for 6 and 4. So I'm going to draw an arrow then, and I'm going to call this step 1. This was step 2. And now we're moving on to step 3 over here. And I've put it over here so I can easily carry my numbers into the new sum. So I'm going to draw my line and put twelfths here. In between I'm going to put the plus sign to show which operation we're doing. And I'm going to put my over 12s here as well. And then I'm going to put in my equal sign because my sum is going to move in that direction. So we look at our numerators and we see that 6 has gone into 12 twice, and we've represented that up here, and so our numerator we're going to multiply by 2, and 3 multiplied by 2 is equal to 6. So I simply carry my 6 over into its new home. Now 6 over 12. Then I look at the 2 quarters, and my denominator is the number 4. So I look at how many times 4 goes into 12, and although you can probably multiply that out in your own head, we can look at our steps down here, and we've got 4, 8, 12. So 1, 2, 3. This time I'm going to multiply my numerator by 3. I do that because the denominator, D for denominator, D for den, it takes 3 4s before we get the number 12. So multiplying the numerator 2 by 3 gives us 6. And I'm going to carry that over here. Now I've got 6 over 12 and 6 over 12. We see we've got the same denominator over on each side, so we can add our sums together now. And 6 over 12 plus 6 over 12, well, our answer is certainly going to be over 12. And then 6 plus 6 is equal to 12. So we've got our answer, which is 12 twelfths. But we need to look at our answer, which is step 4. And in step 4, we examine our answer and we see if we can break it down to a smaller representation and show it in a smaller form. And again, we look at the numerator and the denominator, and we look for a common multiple in both numbers. And we see that they're both the same number, they're both the number 12. So 12 will divide into 12 once. And the denominator, 12 will divide into 12 once, so we get 1 over 1. And 1 over 1 is more commonly represented as the number 1. And so there you see our steps. Step 1 was to examine the denominators, in this case 6s and 4s. Step 2 was to check out the common multiples, in this case it was 12 and 12. Step 3 then was to multiply our numerators by the amount of times the denominator goes into the lowest common multiple, and we brought them over to our new factor families, which were twelfths, as the lowest common multiple was 12. Then we could add them together. 6 twelfths plus 6 twelfths was equal to 12 twelfths. And finally then we looked at our answer to see if we could break it down any further, to bring it down and represent it in its smallest form. We noticed that our common multiple here was 12, so we divided 12 into 12, and we got 1. Then we divided our denominator 12 into 12, and we got 1. And so 1 over 1 left us with the final answer as 1. And now you know, if you're ever asked what 3/6 plus 2 quarters is equal to, the answer is equal to 1.